Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today we have local author Justin Ruger. Correct, Justin?
Yes.
Okay. Justin is a unique fellow. He has written several books. Mark, I want you to zoom in on the first cover we're going to talk about. This is Henry Meets a Honeybee. All right.
Yes, sir.
And he's done several of these things. That's the first one. Then he's done another one here called Henry Meets a Honeypot Ant. You got that, Mark? See that? And then he's got another one here. This is in pre-production, and it's Henry Meets a Flamingo. Then Henry's going to have a lot of adventures. Justin was telling me about some of the things he's got planned coming in the future. But let's talk a little bit about you first. It's strange to have an author write these kind of books. So how did you get into it?
Well, I was in school studying physics. So I started off in Newport News at Christopher Newport University, and I got computer engineering, computer science as my bachelor's. I got applied physics as my master's, and then I started a Ph.D. at Catholic University studying applied physics, nuclear physics, and I had a car accident, and the car accident left me with a traumatic brain injury and seizures. And then from the traumatic brain injury, I had a stroke in 2020, and that's how the book started. So my aunt, she wanted to teach, my late aunt, she passed away from COVID, she wanted to teach her grandchildren about honeybees. So she was like, can you write me a book that teaches my children about honeybees and pollination and the importance of honeybees and the jobs that they do? So I started writing it, and before I had the car accident, I couldn't draw a stick figure.
Right.
So whatever happened in my head injury made it so I could do some kind of art.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Really, really good. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, it's amazing how one sense goes away, we get another sense.
Yeah.
We
So
adapt to it.
I started to illustrate. After the stroke, I lost use of my right side, and I started to use the illustrations to to rehab. There you go.
Sure.
To be my rehabilitation. I tried it on paper, but dragging my arm like this ripped the paper. So I got an iPad Pro and Procreate, and I drew with the Apple Pencil, and that one is how the books were made.
It's interesting, isn't it? And you learned about honeybees.
Yes.
And so,
we're beekeepers.
Oh, so you were that prior to that.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay. So talk us a little bit about this beekeeping. He has a nonprofit organization about beekeeping, Accessible Beekeeping. All right. So talk a little about that.
So Accessible Beekeeping works to do research, funding, and design of accessible hardware, accessible items that help make beekeeping available to everyone.
Right. Make it fun and easy. If there is such a thing in beekeeping.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work, I hear, but still it's a lot of fun. A lot of, what do they call it, accomplishment when you see the end product and you see how all the bees work, and then you just keep them going. And
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But one thing that I noticed when I started beekeeping with my mother was that all of the nonprofits out there were for military and first responders,
right,
helping the veterans. There was nothing that was helping the general public. So we include veterans as well, so they're not excluded. But I also try to broaden the horizon. We've done some surveys, and we have a paper that is with the editor at a journal right now that we hope to release soon. We have a learning and experimental apiary in Midland, Virginia, that we do some YouTube videos on accessible beekeeping. We're going to Purdue in June, actually, to be part of a forum for disabilities in beekeeping.
Yeah. You're a busy man.
More than I should be.
It's good therapy, though.
It is good therapy.
Kind of like when you have to go somewhere, it's hard to get up and move, and you really feel down, and you're hurting all over. But if you just push through it, it's we were talking about that before. It seems like at the end of the day, you feel like you got something done and feel pretty good.
Yes, sleep well.
You sleep. That's one good thing. We do sleep better when we're wore out. Let's go back to the books here. So you've written these things, you've illustrated them, and they're very good. And you got all these things. So you said you have 3 or 4 of these in line. What's the age group that most of these books are written for?
Elementary. I do have 2 more books that I did not bring, and they actually teach beekeeping. So there's Honey Teaches Beekeeping to kids, and that's for the elementary age. And then there's Honey Teaches Beekeeping, and that's for adults. But I wanted to talk more about the Henry Meets series today.
Yeah. Who's Henry?
Henry is
somebody you just made up?
Somebody I made up. I was reading on how to title your book.
Right.
And it said, make it so that it matches. So Henry and honeybee.
That's right. It goes
Henry and honeypot ant. And then I lost it with Henry and flamingo.
I could be Fred and the flamingo.
Yeah.
Gotta have more than one character, but that's okay. Justin is going to be at the Royal Oak Bookstore on June 10th at 12. June 10th, right?
Yep, June 10th.
At 12 noon. So we want you to go down there and take a look at these books. You got some elementary kids age, elementary school period anyway. And go down there, take a look at these books. They're quite interesting. And you'll learn something about beekeeping. What are we going to learn about flamingos?
That'll actually be released at the June 10th signing.
Well, we're going to learn how they work. And
let me give you a little bit, sorry about the book.
Sure.
So the premise, since I'm sure, kids won't be watching this.
Right.
The premise is that Henry actually turns into the animal.
Oh, okay.
So he becomes a honeybee and he flies into the hive and learns about the hive as a bee.
Cool.
He turns into a honeypot ant, which I never even knew existed until this 94-year-old woman contacted me and said, hey, I started a project in college and I would like to finish it. So she told me about honeypot ants. And then I did flamingo, and next I'm working on platypus. But he turns into the animal, and then at the end of the story, like in Henry Meets a Honeybee, he decides, I'm going to be a beekeeper and save bees.
Right.
Honeypot ant, he decides that he's going to do more for animals.
Right. We're going to see a movie on this. I can tell you already.
That's my goal. My end goal is to get 10 books done and then try to find a agent to try to get it on Netflix.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. We see a lot of movies along that kind of way, and I can just see Marvel now coming along with their character. And it happens.
That would be fantastic.
You got to have a little story. The books are very interesting. Again, we're going to say, I do have a question. How do you go from beekeeping to a physicist? That seems like a strange.
Well, I went from physicist to beekeeping.
Oh, okay. So you went
beekeeping was after the car accident.
All right. So, but anyway. And how does a young person go and become? I'm going to wake up one day and be a physicist. That's like an unknown or very small percentage of our population go into that field. I'm just curious.
No, it's actually, I started out with computers, computer science, programming, working on computers, designing robots and stuff. That's what I did in my undergrad. Then I met a teacher, Dr. David Gore, at Christopher Newport University that inspired me into physics. And I learned that I could learn more about the working behind the engineering and stuff if I also knew the physics behind it.
Right.
So I started with applied physics, and then I worked at Thomas Jefferson National Lab in Newport News, and they do particle physics. And I met Dr. Dennis Wagan there, and he introduced me to a professor at Catholic University who wanted me to come finish my education there and work on the project. And then I got through the first 2 months of my first year, and I had the car accident derailed to writing books and beekeeping.
Well, you're affecting a lot of people's lives as a physicist, but now as an author. And I think you're getting young kids molding their minds into maybe doing things as they grow older. So it's applied physics.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. This Saturday we're doing it's already, registration is closed because all the seats are filled, but we're doing beekeeping event at the Samuels Public Library.
Right.
And, we're going to have an observation hive and pollination crafts. So I'm hoping to be scheduled one more time during the summer to do the same thing.
Sure. Well, let us know. We'll help get the word out. Bees are an important part of our lives. I think people are afraid of them. They try smacking them, but maybe we just leave these creatures alone. They're doing a good job.
Well, a lot of people have the issue where they mistake yellow jackets and wasps for honeybees.
Right.
They don't know the difference. Honeybees will leave you alone if you leave them alone. Yellow jackets will pick on you just because they're,
They keep an eye on you, don't they?
they look for you.
Well, we hope great things for you. Justin did lose his sight, is losing his sight as it goes on, and he's still determined to get these books written, and you've adapted. You're using technology and things to do that, so we want to thank you for doing that and keep up this work. Come back next time. We'll see you maybe next year. You'll have another dozen books done.
Maybe a couple.
But go on down to the Royal Oak Bookstore. It's there on Royal Avenue. It's a great little hidden gem in our community, and they've just got. If you're looking for a book, they have it.
Yes,
it's in there somewhere. You got a little maze to go through, but she's got tons of books.
Everything.
She's got everything, and if you can't find it, she can get it for you. So let's see Tammy down there. It's a great work. Again, Justin, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us. We'll get this word out June 10th, 12 noon at the Royal Oak Bookstore. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Sure.